Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to GSPN Daily Forest, where something that wasn't on our bingo card for this season, perhaps, we're here to talk about a 7-0 Forest win. That's right, a 7-0 Forest win. Joining us to talk about it is James. From what I gather, James, without wanting to put you off on the wrong foot, I don't think any of us were born last time Forest won 7-0. 7-0 at home. So it's been that. It was 87.
Wait. No, when was the last 7-0 at home? Wasn't that 91?
Yes. No, it's possibly you are just about. None of us can remember. None of us can remember.
I was going to say, no, I was only about 7, so yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry, it was the stat from the 80s. It was the last home top division hat trick, which is from Nigel Clough in the mid 80s. That was the fact. The stat that I was thinking of. So. Yeah, Chris Wood, of course, with that home hat trick, going in with his away hat trick in Newcastle last year.
Yeah.
Let's start off, James, by talking about how great it is that we won 7-0, and then we'll do maybe a bit more nuanced analysis, goal per goal. So, in general, what's your thoughts now? Is second in the league in sight? Is first in the league in sight? Or is this just a perfect response to Bournemouth, and it is just a match by itself and not anything too big in terms of the bigger picture?
Yeah, first off, 7th heaven, isn't it? You know, that's the cliche. Could have been better on cloud 9, but I'll go with 7th heaven. But yeah, there had to be a response to Bournemouth. I'd been happy yesterday with a boring 1-0, but what a response. You know, after Bournemouth, everyone was giving it, you're constantly going about, camaraderie in the dressing room, and then there was some arguments on the pitch, as you might expect at Bournemouth, with things just falling apart the way that they did. But oh my days, what a response. The whole team pulled at once, and we just showed why Nuno Ball is the way forward, at least for Forest, and we've shown that. And as for second, I don't know, we're filming pre-Man City Arsenal. Kind of hoping for a draw in that game. I don't know about you, Stuart.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for a City win. And the reason being that sort of we know City are coming back. So if City win, they extend their lead over 5th place. Newcastle lost yesterday. So that means we can start talking about the top 4: Liverpool, Arsenal, as in City. We've got Arsenal and City to come in, I think, consecutive home games towards the end of February, beginning of March. Yeah, so if we go into those games where City don't need to beat us to get into the top 4 because they're there already, and similarly with Arsenal, if Arsenal then lose, it means they're out the title race. So for us, in my strategic planning, I would prefer a City win, although most people I've spoken to would prefer a draw.
Yeah, no, I see you thinking there, because it would change the mindset of a lot of the teams, because I think if City win, that's Liverpool's title. I mean, it's Liverpool's title to lose at the minute anyway, but once they keep that 9 points clear with 1 game in hand, possibly 12 points clear by midweek, how do you lose that from February? Liverpool could win the league, well, with 4 games to play, let's be honest, So my worry would be if City win and then City get in amongst it, we're going to be 4th. And then we need to rely on Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle. I mean, end of the day, football's football, and we just have to keep winning. But
that's the thing, is that these teams haven't been keeping on winning, and neither of us. Of course, we did, as you came to at the start. This was our response to our only thrashing of the season, our only big loss of the season, which is one reason why it was so impressive and so important to react to it. But the thing is, it is immediately brushed off and won straight away. Chelsea are on a run now of, I think, 1 win in 7. Newcastle lost 2 of 3. Arsenal have been drawing a lot. So obviously City, we know all about their troubles. So I think it's so important for us that we are keeping on winning. You're right, Liverpool may be out of touch, but even if, I think, in cementing ourselves, if we were the team in 4th, I don't think the teams then in 5th would be like, great, it's Forest in 4th, we can catch them, because we'd be fourth for a reason. We have been so impressive over the last 3-4 months as a whole.
The interesting thing and good thing during the week, I did want City to win in the Champions League so that they could progress. One, for the Champions League kind of algorithm, so give more places to the Premier League possibly, so it wouldn't be the top 4 going through to Champions League, possibly top 5, which gives us a bit more insurance. But also, it means that City's next Champions League game, the playoff, will be either side of the Forest game on the Saturday. 2 midweek games either side, and if it's against, did someone say it could be Real Madrid?
No, it is Real Madrid. The draw
It is
has
Real
been made.
Madrid.
Yeah.
How where are they going to put their eggs? They're not going to win the Premier League, so surely they're going to be looking other competitions. So I just said they're playing their best 11 either side of the Forest game and resting some players for the Forest game. So that, I think that plays into our hands when it comes to Forest, Exeter, things like that. Just like play the kids. You know what's in it for us. FA Cup, where it's going to be tough going. Maybe we get to a final. Fixture congestion, possibility for more injuries. Champions League. I mean, come on. I love the FA Cup. You know, but if we were in a different position in the league with less to lose, I'd be like, yeah, FA Cup, let's go for it. Cup run, that'll be the highlight of the season. No, concentrate on the league.
Yeah, completely. A cup run, if we were 12th in the table, say, we'd be like, this is a great season. We're not in a relegation battle. Now let's really go for the cups. But because we've got a really, really strong chance of Champions League football, we don't want to mess it up by struggling or picking up a stupid injury away against Exeter. But having said that, you mentioned City, they've got their upcoming fixture congestion. We don't. So we're spending this week in, by we, I mean Nottingham Forest, not the two of us, unfortunately.
Nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so the squad, they flew out this morning to Dubai for a week's training because Exeter game is on a Tuesday for some reason. How important do you think that could be in terms of both team building and also getting a well-earned winter break?
Yeah, I think it'd be amazing for them. Get some sun in their legs, good dose of vitamin D, take the families out there. Yeah, I just think it's got to be amazing for team spirit as well. I can imagine last night, Marinakis just thinking, right, let's go. I'm sure there was the option for it behind the scenes and it was already all planned. It won't have been a spur of the moment thing, and the players may have had some idea that they were going to a training camp and just not known where possibly. But yeah, I think it could be nothing but good for them. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely. And that squad, although again, as we recording this, so it's the day before the transfer deadline day, there haven't been any incomings. But whether it is or not, there's essentially 2 new signings in Danilo and Sangare, both of whom contributed yesterday.
Yeah, both looked a bit rusty to be fair, but I think it's just good to get some time back in the legs, some Premier League time back in the legs. Training's training, but match fitness takes time for them to be sharp. So I think for not having played for half a season, both of them, they did well yesterday. Sangare almost got his goal when he was bungled over in the box, and Williams got that goal. But yeah, no, it's good. I'd be quite happy to sign no one this window. I was saying to my lad Alfie that possibly, sorry, he's in the other rooms.
Okay.
Someone scored. Possibly keeping an eye on the summer transfer window, because not making any silly rash moves in this window when we've got a settled starting 11. But then if we've confirmed Champions League football or European football in the summer, that's going to be a real kind of attraction for some possibly bigger backup players or bigger stars who might want to come along and be part of what is the waking of the sleeping giant that is Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, completely. I don't think we want to be spending money now on Europa League quality players to then have to ditch them in the summer for Champions League football. And I think with the Dubai trip, I think it's interesting that they've flown out today rather than Tuesday, for instance, for the same length of trip. Because flying out on today suggests, okay, this is our squad for the end of the season. I know there were in the celebratory Gibbs White photo, Ward Prowse was not in that photo. Whether that was just because he wasn't in the squad, whether that was because of an injury or because he is going is yet to have been clarified. But equally, it does look like that squad is off. Okay,
He's going. Even injured players. Cho was there.
That's true.
So he's going. And I can see, West Ham are in trouble. They've got issues. So I can see why he'd be going as well. Might not be his choice, might not be his ideal, even if you're only a fringe player at Forest at the moment, I can see it being exciting to be around rather than going to a relegation battle or possible relegation battle at West Ham. Yeah, he's going. I cast my mind back though to us an episode pre-Brighton in the first half of the season. We spoke a lot about Brighton being the benchmark and kind of looking at how they've been promoted, the business that they've done, the way that they've performed in the Premier League, and talking about beating them, that would be good, and that being kind of where they are, top mid-table, would be the place to be, the steady growth and different things. But I think yesterday was a real kind of shaking that off to say, right, we've achieved that. Now we're going a step further than you could.
I think it's, again, an interesting point Mark raised as well when I spoke with him a few days ago in a preview episode, where he said Brighton were happy to their end goal is to be sustainable. So when they qualified for Europe, they sold Caicedo, they sold Alexis McAllister, and we both said that we can't imagine Marinakis celebrating qualifying for Europe by selling Gibbs White and Murillo. He's going to
Praises that.
Yeah, so it's definitely the difference in mentality between the data-driven, stats nerd type teams like Bournemouth, Brentford, and Brighton, whereas us, Marinakis, he's passionate. He's got his faults or his controversial side as such, but ultimately he bought Forest because he was attracted by the challenge of taking that famous name back to the top. He wasn't doing it to flippers for a quick profit to a US hedge fund or a Arab state. He was doing it for his love of football.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think, the Moneyball's fantastic and it makes sense, but then sometimes there's funny ball and there's things that you can't predict, like Murillo. Like Murillo and Milenkovic combined are just they're greater than the sum of their parts in that
Yeah,
defence.
definitely.
So yeah.
Yes, I would be very interested when we signed Murillo a year ago. After Milenkovic a year later. Was that all, even then in the plan? We knew because of PSR we couldn't sign them both in one window. So maybe there was already the work done behind the scenes, the patience to say, okay, Murillo, keep us up, and then we'll reward you with a better partner to help us grow the next summer. So the
Yeah.
recruitment team have been so on point recently that they would not be surprised that was at least they had Milenkovic in mind a year in advance.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at other clubs around the league. Newcastle are absolutely spitting feathers at the way that Anderson and Chris Wood are playing, and it was two reasons. One, they never got the best out of Wood because they didn't surround him with the formula that he needed to bring the best out of him. Chris Wood plays between the posts. There's no point him, going out to the wings and stuff like that. Halfway line to the post, unless it's a defensive corner. But that's where he is, and then the rest of the team plays around him, and it's working. Then you've got Anderson. They had to get rid of him for PSR. I'm sure it was like selling the crown jewels, selling the future, selling the farm. So it's amazing that we've benefited from that. But I can't see. I mean, everyone will say, "Oh, it's a one-off." Look at Leicester, different things like that. But I don't think it will be. I think Mr. Marinakis knows what he's doing, and we're building a dynasty to take into the future.
Let's hope so. After this first break, we'll talk about the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 or 3 people talking at once on that ad. It sounded like on my side. But no, do check Zencastr out. If it sounded great for you, the ad, then Zencastr would have cut out the echo. Maybe it's just a test of that AI. So the starting 11, was it a surprise for you, James, that it was a back three with Morato coming in for a rare start and Danilo coming out of nowhere to make a start after only having one sub appearance?
No, not at all. I think maybe the Danilo one, yes. Maybe possibly expect him to come on later in the game rather than start. But back three, no, he's done it before. I think that's the go-to. Whenever we slightly come off the tracks, it's right back to basics, back to being solid at the back, keeping the clean sheet, and then we can build from there. So yeah, not surprised at all with the back three. Even though some people must say, "Oh, back three at home, that's a bit defensive." It's not. I'd play that back three for the rest of the season if and be happy with it if that was what Nuno chose to do. So I honestly thought later on in the game it was worth bringing a defender off and throwing another attacking player on and going to the back four that we play. So yeah, yesterday I was going to go one of two ways. We were either going to lose again or draw, and it would play into the pundits' hands, and it would be like, oh yeah, the Forest trains left the tracks, the bubbles burst, and different things. Or we were going to roar to victory like we did, and it would be, don't put this team down. The old Brian Clough. I hope no one's stupid enough to write us off. And fortunately, it went the way it did. But yeah, starting 11, happy with that. Happy, happy to see that the fans were good with it too. Were you nervous at all before the game?
Yeah, so for me, like I get the back three. Like you say, I think Morato is a stronger player than either Jota or Souza. So I think changing the team to fit him in rather than picking Jota or Souza, I think that was the right decision. But the start of Danilo, I think, like you say, that's one of those where we could either have looked back at the end of the season and think, "I remember when we put in a Danilo who couldn't run and he got completely bossed in the midfield," or it looked as it came out to be he was part of a successful team. So although I was happy for Danilo, happy for the player to see him in there, it had that potential to be one of those "what was Nuno thinking?" rushing back Danilo type scenario. So I was only nervous just because, yeah, he played that 5 minutes against Luton and the 2 league games subsequent to Luton. So yeah, Southampton and Bournemouth, he wasn't even in the squad. So that's why I was surprised to see him going from just 5 minutes in the cup to starting.
Yeah,
But no, then I think nerves. I mean, pre-match for those of you in the UK watching on TNT Sports, you saw Marley making his debut on the
yeah.
channel. Guess why he's not here today? He's too big for us now.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when I was, I
Signed his
was
contract
yeah,
with TNT.
but I was watching on the international coverage, and even when we went 3-0 up, the commentators here were not joking, or only half joking, saying Matt Sells was the man of the match because Brighton weren't bad in that first half. We just took
No,
our
they weren't.
chances and we defended well.
They weren't. He made a couple of vital saves, and I think uh, Brighton, paid far too little respect to us. I think following that Bournemouth drubbing that we got, and just expected to play 4-1-4-1, and I think carry on the battering of Forest. But yeah, we showed them. Their manager Hertzler, he's getting some right pelters now for being a bit too gung ho, for going out there thinking, play 4 attacking midfielders and a striker, and that you can turn Forest over in their fortress, which you couldn't, and we absolutely put you to the sword. So yeah, amazing game. Feel a bit bad for their young lads. Can't remember his name now.
Hinshelwood, the guy in the middle, who was completely, and then
Yeah,
Lamptey, a right footer on at left back as well. Those two, yeah. I mean, I don't know how maybe Forest did have some spies, whether we knew that was what Brighton were planning, or whether we then saw it when the team was announced and were able to quickly adapt. The final team talk from Nuno said, hey, look, why is there only one defensive player in their midfield? Target him.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever we did exploit that very, very well.
Yeah, the way that Elanga and Gibbs White switched wings, switched positions, and then went double team Lamptey up the right hand side, and just took them to pieces. We defended in packs, we attacked in packs, and one of the most amazing things, I called it the red wall retreating, and a lot of people have put it already on social media, but there was a corner for us, and there was a turnover in possession. Brighton broke quickly, and then there was this wall of Forest players moving across the screen all together, sprinting back, 6 or 7 of them sprinting back into position, overtook the ball carrier and got back in position and faced up the shot. And yeah, I just thought it was amazing the way, as a team, not just one or two people or relying on Aina, who was the sitting player, and things like that. Everyone just got on their bike and got back to defend the goal with their lives. So
yeah, I think that was
amazing.
really impressive to see that, even as you said, with the naked eye. Like, so sometimes when you hear a pundit talk about tactics, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? I didn't notice that. But with Forest yesterday, it was so clear that out of possession, it's a back five, it's a 3-2, with Gibbs White doing some great defensive work as well. But then out of possession, it was a 3-4-3, Gibbs White and Elanga both popping up in the spaces on either wings. And yeah, it was just incredible to watch just how the variety of the goals we scored, but also some similarities between them as well. So we'll play our second advert, and then we'll, because we've got too many goals, almost, we'll talk about
Yeah.
our favourite one or two, and then any other business. So, James, my favourite goal was the fourth one, because, as I said, we've spoken a bit about the first half where Brighton had their chances. Half time, they made a triple substitution to perhaps, I don't think they were seriously hoping to get back into the game, but they at least hoped to stop the rot by shoring up that midfield slightly. But the fact that the pace from Elanga and Wood going forward to get that tap in and their celebration together, which is why for me, of the 7, if I had to pick those, it was the fourth goal, Wood's second. That was my favourite of the 7. How about you?
Yeah, I was thinking the same one, just because I loved Elanga, the way that he crossed it literally right in front of Dunk, slide in to try and block the cross. And that was the one that settled the game for me. Brighton came out in the second half, like you said, triple substitution. They were not on top, but they were doing well. They'd rebalanced their midfield, and they'd kind of nullified our attack a little bit. And we took maybe 7 or 8 minutes of constant pressure from Brighton, and they looked like if they got the next goal, it was going to be a bit of a tight second half. But no, we took what they got and then sucker punched them with that fourth goal, and from there it was history. Really, it was barbecue chicken from there. So yeah, but other than that, I think it was good to see Gibbs White get that goal, near post run with his header, kind of glanced it on into the roof of the net. It was a really fast and powerful corner kick, came absolutely arrowing into the box, and he was well advanced of the front post as well. So it was just a redirection of the cross almost, rather than a directed header. And yeah, straight over the keeper and into the roof of the net. So it was interesting. After the game, they said that they'd spotted that. They'd spotted there was always a hole at the front post on the Brighton defence on the corners. And Brighton had obviously spotted that as well in the second half, because that led to the penalty. Gibbs White again going front post and being tackled to the ground, whilst the ball was fired into the near post. And yeah, it was good to see the ref give that penalty. Actually, I think I'd have been a bit upset if it had been given against us, but the ball was going into the area of Gibbs White. So you can't put your arms fully around someone and rugby tackle them and expect the referee to not have to do something. So
Yeah, it's definitely true. You do so rarely see pushing and shoving at a corner given, but I guess because it was gone into the exact same place as where we scored from before, we could legitimately say, oh yeah, this is what we're aiming for. We're aiming for Gibbs White at the near post. Maybe that was a factor in the referee's decision, that it was something that would. It was clearly the tactic was going to Gibbs White, and it was clear that Lamptey prevented him from getting the ball. Again, it's interesting that if we've said we've spotted it, to then tell the world that we've spotted it, I don't know. Would that then that's trying to influence whether Brighton play next, to remind Brighton, thanks for letting us beat you 7-0. Tidy up your defence, please. You're playing our rivals next. It's quite a bit of a strange thing.
Absolutely. We might as well have just given them our tactics sheet for yesterday and said, here's all the bits that we found on your tape. Here you go. We don't have to play you again this season. We'll go again next season. Because they're not going to catch us, hopefully. So yeah, let's help them against their opponents, especially current top four. So I think another thing, it was interesting from the goals yesterday. The first one, the Dunk own goal, was carbon copy almost of the fourth goal, with Elanga crossing into the box, Chris Wood being at the back post. Fourth goal, he was in the middle, but that Dunk couldn't risk it getting through to him, even though he'd got cover behind him, and stuck his boot out and stuck it into his own net. I think there must have been I know we all cheered, but also a collective sigh of relief around all the Forest fans, because that kind of uncorked the bottle and gave us something to play for. So yeah, that was the beginning of the end of that Bournemouth kind of cloud that we were dealing with.
Yeah, definitely. With the uncorking the bottle is a good way of saying it. So 2 goals in a minute, pretty much, in the beginning of stoppage time, and we could even have gone for an 8th. So we saw Nico Williams get a well-deserved goal. He had that really great chance in the first half, and he's been very, very good, completely pushing Moreno out of contention on the left back. So he definitely deserved that goal. And then Jota Silva with a poacher's finish when the Brighton defence collectively had lost their head, gave the ball straight to him, and Jota made no mistake with that finish he was presented. I mean, sometimes it's his first Premier League goal. He'd scored in the Carabao Cup. Yeah, to get your first league goal, you'd love it to be a 35-yard winning goal, but sometimes it's an easy finisher when the goalkeeper gives it to you, and it can hopefully give him that confidence as well to push on, starting with Exeter when he's likely to start that game, we would expect.
Yeah, it was almost like training, wasn't it, with the goalkeeper just rolling it out to him. I'm sure that happens a lot in training with the striker coaching goal or whatever, just rolling it out and him running in and slotting one in from the angle. So muscle memory, he was always gonna at least get it on target from there. The Brighton all over. Yeah, they had a bad day, but as you say, they attacked well. They had their chances. They hit the underside of the bar, and that was a game of millimeters when it came to goal line technology and the fact that the ball wasn't all the way over the line, but as well the fact that Sells got the slightest of touches on it, and that will have raised the ball up millimeters again, which would have mean when it hit the bar, it didn't rebound as far into the goal, which meant it wasn't a goal. So it was an amazing save, even that deft touch. So yeah, all over the place. I think there's heroes all over the pitch. Hard to pick a man of the match.
Yeah, exactly. At least 4 or 5, if not more, candidates giving us 10 out of 10 performances. So yeah, I think that definitely sets us up nicely. There's no game at all next week. We mentioned that they're breaking Dubai, and then it's Exeter the following midweek in the FA Cup. Just keep going for Forest then, or again, there's no faults I could possibly give.
No let up. Fulham coming. I'm sure that the Nuno and his team will have exactly what they need to do in their minds. Bit of revenge to be had there, following the way things have happened in the past, and yeah, definitely another win away, because that's what Forest do these days. We win away.
Yeah, we sure do. And let's hope that this isn't the only time we're on this podcast talking about a 7-0 victory. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back for certainly a few episodes with any transfer updates or any other gossip from that training camp in Dubai.